Hey, what's up? Stuff has been going good on my end in terms of my RAG evaluation pipeline or framework that I'm building for the UL Stanson engagement. That's been going well. I know last video, I kind of showed how everything I was kind of talking about was kind of pointless. Not pointless, but it wasn't necessary because RAG did work the way it was intended to, and it did show the ground truth and allow me to actually properly evaluate how well the RAG system works. However, it was just named reference for some reason. I don't know why. Because that when I see reference, I don't think ground truth. Um, but that's the situation with that. But I eventually overcame, not even overcame that. I figured that out and continued on to the extrinsic part of the RAG evaluation pipeline, and then got that done. So now I'm just improving it. So I'm going to add some other metrics like context recall, or no, let me look at my notes. Context precision. No, yeah, context precision and context recall. So context precision is essentially of the documents that the RAG system calls, how many of those documents are actually relevant to the query. So it could be like, let's say you put the RAG system pulls 6 documents, and only a few of them are relevant, right? So 3 out of 6, 0.5. And then recall is, let's say there's 10 relevant documents in our whole knowledge base for our RAG system. Then the RAG system only pulls, the RAG system only brings two out of those 10 documents that are relevant to the user's query, and then that's like a zero point 0.2 context recall, I believe. So those are some metrics I'm adding just to allow it to be more to show more of the rack system so you can get a better idea. Another thing I also want to explore after I get this whole project kind of in a better shape is to add more modular control over the rack system as well as the evaluation, just so it can be more like even if you don't understand what's going on, you can like tweak stuff, like maybe slide this or change the numbers here. And even though it's in a Jupyter notebook, I want it to be more you have more control over it. So being able to better documentation, have more modular control is something I'm looking into in the future of this, which should be next week or so. Better documentation. In terms of the extrinsic stuff, there isn't much I'm really adding there. Like I'm improving the system prompt, I believe, and I also want to store the benchmark, so you can also like if you make a major change to your rack system, you can actually start storing the how well it performed before. So that's what's going on with the RAG system there. In terms of DIG, deep inference generation, the independent research project I'm working on, that's going slow. To be honest, I'm still working on experiment one. I think I touched on it, but I'm not sure. But it's, essentially, what I found just playing around with DIG so far is that at first one of the questions were very fact based and very like one step. Based on the document, Dig didn't perform that well compared to one shot, few shot, and RAG. One shot, sorry, not one shot, zero shot. Zero shot is when you just ask an AI question. Few shots when you give the AI some examples. RAG is obviously RAG, where you retrieve documents or retrieve the relevant knowledge and base the AI. You give the AI that relevant knowledge to answer the question, and Dig basically does it uses fine tuning on the document and uses for this experiment just uses fine tuning. It just uses low rank adaptation for the documents. But at first, RAG was performing the best, to be honest. And then once I changed the questions to be more to be more reasoning based, then Dick started to perform well. It did fall behind um, zero shot in terms of that. But from what I can guess, it's basically because I was just using Instagram's 2013 terms of services, and that seems to be more something that's more general knowledge for like OpenAI or the ChatGPT model I was using. So then now I'm switching over to a more complex document, some legal U.S. document that has to do with data privacy and stuff like that. So I want to see how well that performs. But the issue with that is that to do the fine tuning, to do the low rank adaptation, you need a data set to to fine tune the model on. And the way I'm doing it is like you have Q questions and answers. But I'm not gonna do that manually because I'm too lazy and it's gonna be a lot. So I'm trying to figure out what to do to create a synthetic data set. And once again, a synthetic data set is basically something that's like artificially made. So it's not me actually getting real questions or making the questions myself. It's just the synthetic. It was just generate. It's automatic. Like I get an AI to do it. So at first I was using like just web interfaces. So I was using Google's AI Studio. That kind of sucked, and I was using ChatGPT. ChatGPT sucks when like anything more than 20 questions or 20 items of anything. ChatGPT sucks. So what I did is I found a tool online, or I found a code repository to use Olama, to basically generate question and answer pairs. And Olama is like an open source. I believe the one I'm using is an open source model. Anyways, so that's what I'm doing now. The questions were generated. It gave me about like 100 questions. I want to see if I can increase the number of that. But also the questions were very, I don't want to say shallow, but it was much more fact based. I'm looking for reasoning questions because the use case of Dig is meant to be much more. Once you want to actually reason with a document, you don't want like, oh, when was Einstein born? You want how did Einstein's upbringing relate to his discovery of this in the context of the document you give? Like if the document kind of aligns that but doesn't give like a full synthesis of those ideas together. The idea of Dig is that Dig should be able to perform that synthesis through the document. That probably wasn't the best example, but that's the idea. Or maybe like how does this line my code affect this other line in another file in my code base, something like that. Or in a legal sense, how does clause 3 affects clause 9 in this scenario? So reasoning is really the core idea of Dig. But yeah, that's going well. Still slow, but it looks like Dig does have some advantages. So I'm really excited about that. But I really want to test it out on this more advanced legal document to see how well it performs there. But yeah, besides that though, I have nothing else to say. So have a great day.